Good morning, students. So today we will discuss page 44 of chapter Electoral Politics, same chapter. Now the topic which we have to discuss on page 44 is election campaign. So students, the main purpose of election is to give people a chance to choose the representatives, the government, and politics and the policies they prefer. So now we have to see what is the importance of election campaign and what is election campaign. So students, election campaign is a set of activities candidates and political parties do to seek support of electors to win the political office. So therefore it is necessary to have free and open discussion about who is better representative, which party will make a better government, what is a good policy. So this is what happening during the election campaign. So all this discussion, the open debates, this happened during the election campaign, means all the activities which the candidates and the political parties do in order to attain the attention of the in order to gain the attention of the or to seek the support of the electors, that is the voters, to win the political office. So it is a time period when free and open discussion take place between different political parties. It is a time period when candidates contact their voters through rallies or other media. It is a time period when newspaper and television, the news are full of elections related stories and debates. So it is a time period when people come to know about the policies and programs of various political parties. So students, in our country, such campaign take place for 2 week period between the announcement of final list of candidates and the date of polling. So during this period, students, the candidates, they contact their voters, the political leaders, they address the election meetings, political parties mobilize their supporters, they gather their supporters. So this is a period, I have told you, when newspaper and television news are full of election related stories. But election campaign, students, it is not limited to these 2 weeks only. Political parties, they start preparing for election months before they actually take place. And in election campaign, political parties try to focus public attention on some big issues. They want to attract the public to that issue and get them to vote for their party on that basis. So let us see now some of the successful slogans which were given by the political parties in various elections. Like first, Congress party led by Indira Gandhi, she gave the slogan of Garibi Hatao, that is to remove poverty, in the Lok Sabha elections of 1971. And the party promised to reorient, that is to change the focus or the direction of all the policies of the government to remove poverty from the country, that they will introduce such kind of policies and program which will remove the poverty from the country. Such kind of poverty elevation programs will be introduced which will reduce the extent of poverty in our country. The next slogan is Save Democracy. This was the slogan given by Janata Party under the leadership of Jayaprakash Narayan in the Lok Sabha elections held in 1977. Students, before 1977, there was the era of emergency. Emergency was imposed by Indira Gandhi. So this party, they promised to undo, that is to cancel or delete the excesses, the crimes, the cruelties which were committed during the emergency period, and restore the civil liberties and bring back the civil rights, the fundamental rights of the people. Then the next slogan, the left front used the slogan Land to the Tiller. That is, tiller here is farmer in the West Bengal Assembly election. So this is a state assembly elections held in 1977. Then again, protect the self-respect of the Telugus was the slogan used by N.T. Rama Rao, the leader of the Telugu Desam Party in Andhra Pradesh Assembly elections in 1983. Again, a state assembly election. So in a democracy, students, it is best to leave political party and candidates free to conduct the election campaign the way they want. But sometimes it is necessary also to regulate this campaign. Some model code of conduct should be there, some do's and don'ts should be there, which is must for the candidates and the political parties to follow. So students, now on page 45, earlier on page 44, I was discussing the election campaign, and the same topic here also on page 45 now. So there should be some do's and don'ts which should be observed by political parties and candidates to get fair and equal chance to compete. So according to our election, no party or candidate can bribe or threaten the voters. No one can appeal to them in the name of the caste or religion. No one can use government resources for election campaign, and no one can spend more than rupees 25 lakhs in a constituency for the Lok Sabha election and rupees 10 lakh in a constituency for the assembly elections. If they do so, the election can be rejected by the court even after they have been declared elected. So in addition to these laws, all the political parties in our country, they have to agree to a model code of conduct, that is some basic set of guidelines which is given by election commission, which every political party or candidate has to follow. And according to this, no party or candidate can use any place of worship for election propaganda, for any propaganda, for promotion of anything related to their political party, related to election. You can't use the worship places. Then the use of government vehicles, aircrafts, and official for election. So this also can't be used. Any government vehicle is there, any cars, any other vehicle, any jeeps, or any other aircrafts and officials for the election. And once elections are announced, ministers shall not lay foundation stones of any big projects or take any big policy decisions or make any promises of providing public facilities. So this was about the election campaign. So the next topic now is polling and the counting of votes. So everything is now finalized. Constituency voter list is prepared. Epics, the voter cards are prepared. Now election campaign has been done. So polling and counting of votes. Let's see now. So the final stage of an election is the day when the voters cast or poll their votes. So that day is usually called the election day. So every person whose name is there in the voter list, they have to go to the nearby polling station or the polling booth, situated usually in a local school or a government office. And once the voter goes inside the booth, the election officials, they identify them according to the voters list. They put the mark on their finger and allow them to cast their votes. And agent of each candidate is also allowed to sit inside the polling booth to ensure that everything is happening, whatever is happening, everything takes place in a fair manner. So the political parties, their candidates, their the agents of their candidates, they are also sitting inside the polling booth to observe the things, how the polling has been going on, how the people they are casting votes, whether the genuine voters are casting their votes or something wrong is happening. So everything is being observed by them. Now, moving to page 46 now, students, the same topic which we were discussing earlier on page 45, that is polling and counting of votes. So, earlier the voters used to indicate who they wanted to vote for by putting a stamp on the ballot paper. So, earlier we were using the ballot papers. So, what is a ballot paper? Ballot paper is a sheet of paper on which the names of the contesting candidates along with the party name and symbols are listed. So that was the ballot paper, means all the candidates who are contesting for the election, their name with the party symbols, everything is mentioned on the ballot paper. And the voter, they were, when they were entering the polling booth, they were just handed these ballot papers, and there they have to put the stamp on the name whosoever they wanted to cast their vote. So this was a secret ballot, means secrecy was maintained, so that the voters, they don't want to tell to the other people that to whom they are casting their vote. So that is a secret ballot, and then they used to fold this paper and they used to put them in the box. But now electronic voting machines are used to record the votes. The machine shows the name of the candidates. So again, the names of the candidates will be displayed with the party symbols, and independent candidates, they too have also symbols allotted by the election officials. And all the voters, they has to do is to press the button against the name of the candidate they want to give their vote. So once the polling is over, all the EVMs are sealed, taken to the secure place, and on the fixed day, all the EVMs are again opened and votes secured by each candidates, they are counted, and the agents of all the candidates, again they were present when the counting is being done, so to ensure that counting is being done properly, and the candidates who secure the highest number of votes from a constituency is declared elected by the election commission. So in a general election, usually the counting of votes in all the constituencies take place at the same time on the same day. So usually this happens on the same time and same day, and television channels, the radio, newspaper, they report this event. And within the few hours of counting, all the results are declared, and it becomes very evident, very clear who will form the next government. So this was about the polling and the counting of votes. So the results are declared. Okay, now the next government, it is clear which political party will form the next government. Now page 47, students, here we have to discuss the topic, what makes elections in India democratic. So we get to read a lot about the unfair practices in the election. And newspaper and television reports, they often refer to such allegations. So most of these reports are about the inclusion of the false name, the fake names, and exclusion of the genuine names in the voter list. Then misuse of government facilities and officials by the ruling party. Excessive use of money by the rich candidates and the big parties. Intimidation means threatening of the voters, and then rigging on the polling day. Okay, so all these malpractices we observe on the on the polling day, on the elections day, like rigging, all the fraud malpractices which are being indulged by a party or candidate to increase their votes. It includes stuffing the ballot boxes by a few person using the votes of the other, so this is bogus voting. Recording multiple votes by the same person, so fake voting. Bribing polling officers to favor a candidate. So all these things, all these incidents we have seen during the elections. So many of these reports are correct also. So we feel unhappy when we hear such kind of incidents. But fortunately, these are not on that large scale that it defeats the very purpose of election. So this becomes clear if we ask a very basic question: can a party win an election and come to power not because it has a popular support but through electoral malpractices? So now let us carefully examine various aspects of this question. Okay, if we say this, that in our country the elections in India are democratic, then how they are democratic? Which are the organization that make these elections a democratic election? So first is Independent Election Commission. We say that elections in India are democratic because we have Independent Election Commission. How Independent Election Commission? Because they don't work under the pressure of the government, of the ruling government. They have nothing to do with the ruling government. This is independent body. In order to conduct free and fair election, this is their duty. And once the Chief Election Commissioner is appointed, it is very difficult to remove him. Neither the Prime Minister nor the President. They can't remove this person. So it is very difficult. That's why it is independent. Powerful body it is. So one way of checking whether elections are fair or not is to look who conducts the election. Are they independent of the government? Or can the government or the ruling party can influence or pressurize them? Do they have enough powers to be able to conduct free and fair elections? Do they actually use these powers? So to answer all these questions, students, in a positive manner, our elections are conducted by an independent and very powerful election commission, and it enjoys the same kind of independence that the judiciary enjoy. Similarly, the Chief Justice of India, once appointed, cannot be removed by the President or the Prime Minister. Similarly, Chief Election Commission of India or Commissioner of India, once appointed, cannot be removed. So the Chief Election Commissioner, as I told you, appointed by the President, but once appointed, he is neither answerable to the President nor to the government. Even if the ruling party or the government does not like what the commissioner or the commission is doing, it is difficult to remove him. And very few election commissions in India have such a wide-ranging powers like our election commissioner has. Election Commission takes all the decisions on every aspect of conduct and control of election, from announcement of elections to the declaration of the result. It implements the code of conduct, the proper do's and don'ts. They implement this and they see that neither of the candidates nor the political party violates it. And if anybody does so, they will be punished. And during the election period, the Election Commission can order government to follow some guidelines to prevent use and misuse of governmental power, to enhance its chances to win election, or to transfer some government official. And when on election duty, government officers work under the control of Election Commission and not the government. And students, in the last 25 years or so, the Election Commission has begun to exercise all its power. And it is very common now, if you see Election Commission, to reprimand to rebuke the government and administration for their failure. They can talk bluntly, directly, if any lapses is there on the part of the government. So when election officials come to the opinion that polling was not fair in some of the booth or even in the entire constituency, they can order a repoll. So the ruling parties often do not like what the election commission does, but they have to obey. This would not have happened if the election commission was not independent and powerful. Now, in page 48, students, the next topic which we have to discuss, which shows that the Indian elections or elections in India are really democratic, is the popular participation. Now, another way to check the quality of the election process in India is to see whether people participate in it or no, with full passion, with full energy. What is the voter turnout ratio? How many people actually came out on that day in order to cast their vote? So, if the election process is not free and fair, people will not continue to participate in the exercise. And from the data which is given on the page 49, the graph which is given, it shows that the voter turnout ratio is increasing in India. Turnout means it indicates the percent of eligible voters who actually cast their vote. And in India, the turnout has either remained stable or actually gone up. So it shows that people, they participate in the elections. They have certain expectations from the elections. That's why they come out that day and they cast their vote, because they know their vote matters. If they want to change the government, if they want that the particular political party formulates the policies for them, so they have to cast their vote in order to see the change. If they want to bring the change in the political structure, then they have to take the initiative. Students, now on page 49, the same topic, popular participation, we were discussing. And in India, students, the poor, illiterate and underprivileged people, they vote in larger proportion as compared to the rich section of our society. And this is in contrast to the Western democracies. If you see USA, the poor people, the African Americans, the blacks, and Hispanics means these are the Spanish speaking people, they vote much less than the rich and the white people. And the interest of the voters in the election related activities has been increasing over the years. And during the 2004 elections, more than one third of the voters took part in a campaign related activities. And more than half of the people identified themselves as being close to one or the other political party. And one out of every seven voter is a member of a political party. So this shows that common people in India attach a lot of importance to election. They feel that through elections they can bring pressure on the political parties to adopt the policies and program which will be favorable to them. They also feel that their vote matters in the way things can run in the country. So that's why, as the common man, they have lot of expectations from the elections, from the outcome of the elections. So they participate in huge number in our country. The next topic now on the same page is acceptance of election outcomes. So one final test of the free and fairness of election is the outcome itself. And if elections are not free and fair, the outcome will always favor the powerful. The same party will keep on winning. If elections are not free and fair, same party, the ruling party, will never lose the elections. So moving to page 50 now, we were discussing the acceptance of the election outcomes. That if the elections are not free and fair, students, the outcome will always favor the powerful. And in such a situation, the ruling party will never lose the election. And usually you have seen a losing party, and the losing party does not accept the outcome of the rigged elections. This will also happen. The losing party will also not accept. But the outcome of India's elections speak for itself. The ruling party, they lose elections in India, both at the national and the state level. This we have seen. And in every 2 out of 3 elections held in the last 15 years, we have seen the ruling parties, they lose the election. And if you see USA, an incumbent or the sitting elected representative, they rarely lose the election. And in India, about half of the sitting MPs and MLAs, they lose election. Why? Because people are not satisfied with them. So if you will not work for the welfare of the people, people will not accept you. They will not give their vote to you in the next coming elections. So candidates who are known to have spent a lot of money on buying votes and those with non-criminal connections, often they also lose elections. Because people don't like casting their votes to the people who are having some criminal background. Educated masses we have in India now. They are aware, very much well aware. So, bearing very few disputed elections, the electoral outcomes are usually accepted as people's verdict by the defeated party. So, whatever is the outcome, it is accepted by the defeated party. So, we have certain challenges also, students, to free and fair elections. So, certain problems also in conducting, which the election commission has to face in order to conduct free and fair elections. So, many problems are there which is being faced by the election commission of India about the election. What kind of problems? Like use of money. The candidates and the parties with a lot of money may not be sure of their victory, but they do enjoy big and unfair advantage over the smaller parties. Criminal and politics. In some parts of the country, candidates with criminal connection have been able to push others out of the electoral race to secure a party ticket. Nepotism, then favoritism. Some families tend to dominate the political parties. Tickets are distributed to the relatives of these families. And corrupt politicians, most of the candidates are corrupt. And often elections offer very little choice to the ordinary citizens. So, this we have seen. The party that wins an election and forms the government does so because people have chosen it over its rival. But this may not be true for every constituency. A few candidates may win purely on the basis of money, power, and unfair means. Many use them also. But the overall verdict of the general election still reflects a popular preference. But there are still certain exceptions to this rule. Yet the picture looks different if we ask the deeper questions, that are the voter getting a real choice? Meaningful choices there in front of the voters, or only same set of old leaders are there? Is election really a level playing field? Equal opportunities are there for everyone. Can an ordinary citizen hope to win elections? So question of these kinds bring many limitations and challenges and Indian elections to our attention. So students, now page 51, now concluding the chapter in the same topic, challenges to free and fair elections. So here, first challenge which we have to fight is money and muscle power, the challenge of money and muscle power. So candidates and parties with lot of money may not be sure of their victory, but they do enjoy a big advantage, unfair advantage over the smaller parties. So if you see, elections in India is all about money and muscle power. Those who are having connection, those who are resourceful, they can win the elections. Then in some part, the criminal connections also. In some part of the country, candidates with criminal connections have been able to push others out of the electoral race and they secure a ticket from the major parties. And parties also, the political parties also like to give party tickets to those who are having criminal connections because their victory is sure shot. They know that if we'll give them the party ticket, they will surely win because the muscle power is behind them, the money power. Then the challenge of dynastic succession in the political families we have seen. Some families tend to dominate the political parties. So need not to name here. So tickets are distributed to the relatives from these families. Father is in the politics, grandfather is in the politics, so the son will also come into the politics, whether that person is capable or not. Then there is a lack of meaningful choice in front of the voters. Very often elections offer any choice to the ordinary citizen because major parties are quite similar. If we see the policies, if we see the practice and same set of leaders only, nothing change, just the brand change. So the smaller parties and the independent candidates, they suffer a huge disadvantage compared to the bigger parties. The newer trend is there, the corporate sector. They give lot of funds to the big political parties. And when these political parties they win the election, they frame the policies, they formulate the policies in favor of these corporate houses. So this is a major issue, a big concern. So these challenges exist not just in India but also in many established democracies. So these deeper issues are a matter of concern for those who believe in the democracy, who believe in the very spirit of democracy. So that is why citizens, social activists, and organizations have been demanding reforms in our electoral system. So we have to bring change in our political structure and in our electoral system. So certain reforms are required, and many the Election Commission and Supreme Court has taken certain steps also in this direction.